This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, and welcome to Dream Power Radio. This is the place where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love and rediscover the truth of who you really are. How do you define creativity? Do you limit it to people who are in the arts? Or do you believe, as I do, that we all have the power within us to be creative, which I see as the ability to generate ideas or possibilities that can be used to solve problems in all areas of our lives? The challenge arises, though, when we feel stuck and we don't see how to climb out of our rut or how to manifest what's hiding inside us. That's where my guest today comes in. Jeff Leisawitz is a coach who specializes in helping creative types who are ready to live a life of purpose, connection, and creativity. He's the author of the book, No Effing Around, the No BS Guide for Getting Your Creative Dreams Off the Ground. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Jeff.
Hello, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Well, I'm going to start off with this, Jeff. How do you define creativity?
How do I define creativity? Good question. Well, creativity is really the intention on the part of an individual to put ideas together and take action, right? We often feel like, I think a common definition is like creativity is being a painter or being a musician or a dancer or a poet. And those things certainly use creativity. But creativity itself is really taking different ideas, putting them together, and then moving in some direction, taking some kind of action. The agency of a human to move forward is really creative. Every action is really creative in some way.
How do you manifest creativity in yourself?
Well, I kind of do it constantly, from, riffing on your podcast to music. I'm a big musician and producer. I've made films. I'm a writer, poet, photographer, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's really a huge part of who I am.
But you do call yourself a coach for creative types. So who are the type of people who do tend to use your services?
Mm-hmm. Really all kinds. I mean, I've got plenty of musicians, plenty of writers, but I also have abstract painters and dancers. I've got a slam poet these days. Got a guy who does video projections. I mean, all kinds of crazy and cool and beautiful things. But I also want to say that it's not just, creatives. It's what I call heart-centered humans. Okay. People who are aligned or seeking their truth, a deeper kind of truth, and, want to express that and move forward with that, whether it's in a creative field or as some kind of hobby or in, life and career. I've worked with a lot of what I sort of called heart-centered solopreneurs. People who are, doing the thing, not just for the money. Of course, we all have to make some money in our work, but there's more to it than selling widgets, that kind of thing.
Oh, there certainly is. And do they come to you when they're just starting out their businesses, or?
People come to me all kind, whether it's a business or a book or something like that, or they're deep into it and they're ready to step it up, or they're stuck, or, really anything.
So what's the biggest roadblock or problem that you find in your clients?
Well, there are a number of them, certainly, but one of them might be the comfort zone. Okay.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, the comfort zone, the comfort zone's comfortable, as you might notice from the name. The comfort zone is essentially the space in our life where we feel comfortable, where we feel safe. Not really necessarily the physical space, but the emotional space. I know how to do this job, so I'm just going to kind of stay in this realm. And there's nothing wrong with the comfort zone. We all need that. The problem is when we stay in the comfort zone too long, there is no growth, right? And growth is the gateway to a bigger life, to more experience, to tapping into our dreams. So, one of the, very basic way that I suggest to the clients to move forward out of the comfort zone is to identify a spot where you would like to move out and understand the why. And we can talk about that later. But to take a step out, do something uncomfortable and stay there. Feel that discomfort, right? Nobody likes discomfort, but that is what you got to do. You stand there, you breathe it, and sooner or later, the comfort zone will actually expand to meet you, and you will feel comfortable, except bigger, right? You did the thing, you dealt with it, and now you feel comfortable. So now you take another little step out. You do these things regularly every day or every week, and you will be shocked at how much bigger and richer and more powerful and closer to your dreams your life becomes.
Yeah, I totally concur with that. And I often tell people that step that you make to get out of it doesn't have to be a huge step at first, especially if it's very alien to you. You could just take a little baby step, because if you take a little baby step every day, what started out as a small little circle becomes a huge universe after a while, as long as they keep after it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's true. And it's practice. It's just take a step out and stay there, right? It is uncomfortable. That's the whole point. So if it's uncomfortable, you're doing it right. If it's not uncomfortable, you're doing it wrong.
That's so true. So what other ways do you help your clients get out of their own way and discover their creativity?
Sure. Well, I use, when I approach a new client, I kind of look at the process in two different ways. One is what I call the outer world. And the outer world is understanding why you are moving towards this goal, like really understanding it, getting the systems in place, getting the accountability, which is always great with a life coach. When people see me every week, they generally pay attention and do the things that they, say they're going to do. Working on bad habits, exchanging bad habits, all that kind of stuff is the outer world. And we all need that. And without that, it's really not going to work. However, the inner world is actually more powerful. And the inner world is the psychology or the subconscious beliefs and identities that drive us. So I use various tools from my experience as an NLP practitioner. NLP stands for neuro-linguistic repatterning, as well as guided meditations and other kinds of tools and things to help people identify the beliefs or identities that may be holding them back. Because we all have these beliefs and identities about ourselves and about the world. And these are largely formed when we're young, when we're very young, little kids. And if these unconscious beliefs say something like, I'm smart and good looking and capable, hey, fantastic. That's a belief that's probably pretty positive. But if your belief about the world is out to get me and I'm not smart enough and if things get hard, I just quit. Like those are patterns that are running in the subconscious that are never going to allow you to fully succeed and become who you are and attain your dreams. So we work on both levels, depending on where the client is and where they're going and stuff like that.
How long does it take for a client to usually get that understanding of themselves?
The rest of their lives. That said, we make breakthroughs along the way in the coaching. I mean, that's what we do. We are obviously complex, dynamic beings. And do you ever have yourself figured out completely? No, I don't think anyone who's ever lived really has. But what we strive to do in the work is just step it up, get better, have a more meaningful life, understand ourselves, free the pain that might be holding us back. And then there's more energy to move towards our dreams.
Yeah, I think we have to come to that realization that we're on a journey. And they're going to be highs, like the breakthroughs you get, or to be the high, and then the breakdowns when something triggers us and we take a step backwards. But
Right.
it is a journey, and when we realize that and accept that, I think it makes the journey easier to go on.
Absolutely. You can't expect to be happy every minute of your life. It's impossible. No one's ever done it. Although for some reason that seems to be an American ideal, right? Be happy every minute. It's like, it can't happen. How about
And do it right now.
And do it right now. Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it is a journey.
Mhm. Well, you touched on something before, which I want to get back to, and that's people who come to you. And actually, most people, I would say, even people who don't get coached, don't really understand their why. So, can you explain more about that and how you help people find it?
Sure. So the why is the deep motivating behavior behind our actions. And it's always there on some level, but most people are very unconscious about what it is. When you become conscious of what your why is and really sort of fire up that knowledge or that idea with energy, you will move forward faster and more powerfully. So here's a little example. I'm moving to a new city and I need a dentist. My tooth hurts, right? So I'm going to interview 2 dentists. Talk to the first dentist. Hey, why'd you become a dentist? Dentist says, well, I was always good at science and chemistry, and my dad was a dentist, and I figured I could make a lot of money. And I liked when I was a kid how the chair goes up and down. So I became a dentist. I'm like, okay. You go to the next dentist. You're like, so why'd you become a dentist? And she says, well, when I was a kid, I fell off the jungle gym face first into the concrete, bashed out several of my teeth. And our family dentist really was kind and helped me put my face back together and just really helped me through a really tough time. So, I kind of wanted to become a dentist to help other people who had difficulties like that. Okay. All things being equal, which dentist are you going to pick? You're going to pick the one who understands and is motivated by something more than like, oh, I can make a lot of money and the chair goes up and down, right? So this is true in really everything that we do. And understanding this and asking ourselves these questions can really help us dial in what is true for us so we understand it. And then we can take action that is aligned with that. Because when we take action that's not aligned with that, that's when a lot of discord and a lot of friction starts to happen in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And that dentist would be heart-centered, which is something that you talk about a lot too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to talk more about manifesting purpose and creativity with you, Jeff, but we're going to take a short break now. We are speaking on Dream Power Radio, and we'll be right back. If you're not pleased with the trajectory of your life, the time to begin your own personal transformation is now, and your dreams can help pave the way. How? By tapping into your unvoiced confidence. What is unvoiced confidence, you say? It's the acceptance of your abilities and qualities. It's a state of mind coming from liking and even loving yourself, and feeling free to say or do anything you want without concern for the judgment of others. You were born confident, but may have had it chipped away little by the negative self-beliefs you've picked up over the years. If you're looking for the heightened energy, clarity of thought, and the feeling of being more alive that comes from self-confidence, you can rediscover it by paying attention to your dreams. Need some help doing this? Go to my website, thedreamcoach.net, and sign up for my complimentary dream discovery session. I can help show you how your dreams can help you return to the confident person you were always meant to be. Again, go to thedreamcoach.net. thedreamcoach.net.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're talking with Coach Jeff Leisawitz. Jeff, as a writer, I have felt stuck a lot at various points in my life. And one way that it manifests itself in me is procrastination. Because it's so easy to make excuses and put things off when the going gets rough. And I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. So, what is your advice for people who procrastinate?
Well, procrastination is, you're right, it's a huge enemy of really any endeavor. The funny thing about procrastination is people tend to like to do it more about the things that they actually care about.
Of course, of course.
It seems odd to me, but it also seems true.
It is because the things that you care about actually, they require work, and like you said, going in deep and
Right.
and getting more. It takes more work. I don't like to use work because I like to think if you really love it, it's not work, but it takes more effort than just going to the supermarket, for example.
Right, or laying around and watching TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to first identify that we're doing it. Okay. It's easy to just kind of blow it off like, oh, I thought I would work on my book tonight. But whatever. Okay. It's also a good idea to actually put the thing, in this case, writing the book, on your schedule, just like you would put an interview on a podcast, or I'm going to a class, or going to the doctor's office, whatever. It's like at 2:00 on Thursday, I'm writing for an hour. Okay. And schedule it in on the freaking calendar. Okay. This will prioritize it in your mind. When 2:00 on Tuesday or Thursday or whatever I said comes around, this is now your time to do this. And, you may want to procrastinate then. That is the moment to start to feel this in your body and be like, what is up? Why am I so nervous about doing the thing that I want to do? So that would be a moment to kind of explore that, right? What is stopping me from doing this? And why do I want to do it in the first place? Going back to the why. Right? Those kinds of things will start to open up your flow and will get you more likely to do the thing. It's also a great idea to have an accountability buddy, as I think I mentioned earlier. Whether it's a coach or your best friend or something like that, you want to make sure that they are not bugging you to do this, because that's actually giving away your power. You need to say to your friend, hey, on Tuesday from 2 to 3, I'm going to do some writing. At 3:00, I'm going to text you and say, I did it. We're not. Okay. And hopefully your friend says, yes, I agree. Totally. Feel free to text me. Why wouldn't they? Okay. And then that accountability, knowing that somebody else is kind of waiting for you to do the thing that you said you were going to do, is a powerful motivator to move past procrastination.
That is excellent advice, and something I would think that a lot of creative types that you work with probably also have the same issue, because if you're writing a book or creating a piece of music or art or something, it's easy to find reasons why not to face.
Right. And the thing is, and this is a tragic part of most people's experience, we are taught from a very early age, here's the things you need to do. Do your homework, show up and clock in at 9:00. Things like this. You have to do them. And somebody's watching you, right? If you don't do your homework, the teacher knows. If you don't go to work, the boss figures it out, right? What that does is it disempowers us to take initiative ourselves, right? Because nobody's watching you write your book at 2:00. Right. So it's easy to be like, well, nobody's watching me. The boss isn't watching me. The teacher's not watching me. My parents not watching me. Forget it. So it's really a skill to have that self-discipline to go in there and be like, this is what I'm doing today at this time. I'm doing it, whether you're clocking in or getting paid or whatever or not.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that somebody might be hesitant to go after what they want, whether they're procrastinating or not, or just not even making that first step to even investigate what it takes to get what they want, is the idea of fear. fear that they're going to fail, or even fear they're going to be successful. And then how do you help your clients deal with fear?
Sure. Well, fear is definitely a huge motivating factor. And when I say motivating, I mean motivating away from the things that we go for. And fear is there within us for a reason. Okay. Fear is there simply to keep us safe. So there is a good reason to have fear. If you're walking on the edge of the cliff, you should have a little fear, right? If there's a, tiger coming at you, you should probably have some fear. What has happened over the many centuries is that humans now take this concept of fear into things that there's really nothing to be fearful of, right? It's not a life-threatening event for you to sit down and write your poetry and put it out on the internet. The worst that's going to happen is somebody's going to tell you stink, right? That is not the worst thing in the world. It's not getting ripped up by a tiger, right? So to really understand, and again, be conscious of what this fear is and where it's coming from, and if it's valid, right? Maybe the fear is valid, but I kind of doubt it. Right? But once you become conscious of this, you can step forward in a much more deliberate way. When things are unconscious, you have no control over your behavior because, again, it's just these patterns that are running. And that doesn't do anybody any good if they're negative.
Right. It just comes back to the whole concept of self-awareness.
Yeah.
And really understanding yourself, which takes us back to the beginning. I love hearing success stories. So can you tell me about some of the creative works that have emerged as a result of your program?
Sure. I'll tell you about one that's happening tonight. I'll tell you about one that happened this week. One of my clients is a slam poet who has never really done his poetry with music before, but he was invited to basically do his poetry at a rap event as part of a rap, like with a bunch of rap artists. And he was like, we figured it out, and you can do slam poetry to music. I mean, it's a rhythmic based thing. So he's stepping way out, and he's also a musician. So he created this music, and he is going to be rapping, essentially. I wouldn't call it rapping, but he's delivering spoken word poetry on top of music. Huge success, a huge step out of the comfort zone for this guy. Another client just this week is a musician, and she's really into self-love. All her songs are about self-love, right? Expanding on that. So we've come up with a Patreon event, which is both a concert and a workshop around self-love. And she did this, her first one this past week, huge success, right? This was nowhere in her plan when we started working. And we're like, the music biz, how can we do this? What are you really about? And we had an amazing event, and she's going to be doing this monthly. So it's really beautiful.
That is great. And you said that you worked with solopreneurs. So do you have a case study of that also?
Case study of solopreneurs. Well, I mean, in one way or another, I shouldn't say all of them, but most of these people are solopreneurs, right? So for instance, this musician, she is a musician and she wants to make money being a musician so she can spend more time being a musician, right? At the same time, in her sort of solopreneur path, which we still don't know how it's going to go, she's doing these workshops, and she's like, wow, if I could do these workshops once a month and make some real money and help people and play my music, that would be, that'd be fantastic. She's also a graphic designer. So she made these cards with some of her lyrics and questions about these themes and stuff. And that's part of her merch. And like these things could sell. She's like, I would be thrilled if these cards paid well. And then I could, it's like when you're fluid and open enough and you understand the why, there's a lot of different paths.
Mm-hmm. That is for sure. Why is it important for us to share our creativity?
because that is the core element of who we are, right? The world does its best starting from when we're a little kid. Your basic little kid's like running around being weird, pretending she's a cat, whatever. And as we get older, it's like, you're kind of weird, or don't do that. Or, we sort of get squashed by peers, parents, marketing messages, like everything, right? But at our core is essentially, a unique weirdo human who really just wants to go out and just kind of be expressed in the world. And that is through some form of creativity. And most people, unfortunately, get seriously squashed on this really by the time they're, 8 years old, let alone, into college and stuff like that.
Oh, that is unfortunately, that is true. But speaking of your own creativity, as I said at the beginning, you wrote a book called, with the provocative title, No Effing Around. But if you're going to say effing, not the whole word, what was the impetus for writing the book?
Well, living in Seattle, I've spent many weekend mornings drinking too much coffee at coffee shops and writing things, screenplays, poetry, journal, whatever. So one day years ago, I was just, on my 6th cup of coffee, and I wrote something, and I was like, this is kind of, life coachy, and this could be like the beginning of a good book. So I started developing it. And again, I asked myself, what is the why? Why am I doing this? Why am I spending the time and energy? And the answer is, for many decades, I have banged my head against the wall in both inwardly and in outer ways, in business and stuff. And there has been blood, right? It's been difficult. I had many successes and many, many, many more failures. The reason I wrote the book is to help other people bang their head against the wall a little less.
That is a wonderful sentiment. What is one message that you'd like to leave with my audience?
A message that I would like to leave with your audience: that creativity at its best is a way for us to be seen, expressed, healed, and connected. When we create with depth and authenticity, there is a catharsis, a celebration. Okay, we give our gift of creativity to the world, whether that's playing Madison Square Garden or giving a poem to your lover. When we do this, we become the gift because we show others that they can be seen, expressed, healed, and connected.
Oh, that's wonderful. How can people find out more about you and your work?
Sure. They can, if they can spell my last name, Leisawitz, they can go to jeffleisawitz.com. It's JEFFLEIS like Sam, AWITZ. You are more than welcome to sign up for a complimentary coaching session to see how I can help you. I've got clients all over the world. So if you've got an internet connection, we can do this thing. And then if you want to check out the book, just go to Amazon or anywhere else, really, and you'll be able to get it.
That is fantastic. Well, Jeff, thank you so much for being on Dream Power Radio today.
Thank you so much. It was totally fun.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Coach Jeff Leisawitz. I hope you enjoyed today's program. If you have, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio.